Good morning, and welcome to Cowork and Connect. I am Rashonda Woodard, Walker's Legacy City Director for Washington, D.C., and I am excited to be your moderator this morning. Walker's Legacy was created in honor of Madam C.J. Walker and to cultivate an ecosystem of resources and access for professional and entrepreneurial women of color globally. To learn more about us, you can find us at www.walkerslegacy.com. This morning, I have the complete honor of, sitting here and chatting with one of Walker's Legacy's own, our Phoenix City Director, Miss Paula J. Hutchinson. Paula J. Hutchinson is a native of Baton Rouge, Louisiana. She's married with 2 children. She's the owner of Second to None Hair Salon and Second to None Hair Care Systems. She's also the creator of Stiletto Talks, a safe place for women of color to share thoughts, network, and create collaborative business connections. Upon relocating to Arizona, she has continued the work, creating these spaces all over the Valley. Providing support and resources, she continues to push the narrative by growing the platform in other locations by empowering and giving a needed spotlight to things that matter most to the women who attend. She believes in community activism, collaborative economics, and continued safe spaces so that women can be their best selves. Hi, Paula.
Good morning from the
How
West
are
Side.
you?
Good. It's a little early here, but
I know.
be on, right?
Yes, I said that earlier. I was like, it is so early on the coast for her.
Yeah, it's a little early on the West Side, but that's okay.
But you're here and you look beautiful, and I know you're going to drop a few gems for the people. So good morning.
Of course. So good morning, everyone. Good morning.
Right. Hi, everybody. So listen, before we jump into this morning, we're going to talk a little bit about managing your brand presence. But before we go there, we want to know a little bit about you, the why behind all of this amazing things that you do. Stiletto Talks, the hair care systems, we all have our hair issues and things. So tell us a little bit about the why behind what it is you do and why creating these spaces for women has been important to you.
Awesome. Glad to share. First and foremost, it started, of course, from behind the chair, being in my salon. And more as certain events started to happen, such as the recession, especially of 2008, definitely a pivot point in the salon. At the time, I also had an event center. And we started creating these spaces for women of color who were transitioning out of the workplaces. Their jobs stopped. My why, of course, is to provide exposure for their new businesses, their new brands. If you've gotten your drop money, your retirement money, they force you out, and you're starting anew. I have this space. The space was new. Like, hey, y'all, let's combine and let's put us all in one spot. And that's how it started, so innocently, now looking back, but now realizing that it was all for purpose, right? And so we were like, okay, this is, people started really kind of latching onto it. And then, of course, we started to have things such as the flood of 2016. 2016 in Baton Rouge was very, it wasn't televised as much as Katrina, but certainly a lot of devastation in Baton Rouge. And you just watch people just mentally in these spaces. They couldn't really talk about what was going on. At home, maybe you were supposed to have insurance, you realize you're in a flood zone, things like that, and you didn't have it. So of course the salon, it became more of a venting spot. Then we started having people in the salon that weren't there getting services, but they are there for the talks. And so Stiletto Talks, the name came about because of the clients. I said, life is almost like walking in a pair of stilettos. You're just trying to make it to the car. You still look good, but it's like making it to the car. And because it's a painful walk, people see the beautiful shoe, the strut, the walk, but they don't know sometimes the pain that's attached to that to get to the next.
Right.
And so we started in 2016 with Stiletto Talks, and wow, Stiletto Talks is just taking on a mind of its own, a personality of its own. And then I moved away. So I moved away in 2017 from Baton Rouge to Arizona. And when I got here, I realized that, at first I was trying to just kind of blend in, course, want to always case the scene wherever you are, but I also saw that the need was here as well. Women, of
Nice.
course, started the same thing that was happening to me in the salon back home was also happening here in Arizona. So I was like,
Yeah.
let's keep it going. Let's create the narrative here. And so the why is really the community. The why of we need a place to talk. We need a
Yeah.
place to vent. We need a place to be ourselves, and we need a place to find support even for our new businesses, exposure, things of that nature. And that's really, and for women to give back by mentorship. And that's really my why. You know, we have to give back. I am a salon is definitely, and being a stylist is a community-based thing, right? So you
Hmm.
cannot do that without your community. So it's just a give back. And I love just being in community with everyone. And
And
that's
I
my
love
why.
that. I love that. I love that. And it resonates with me in so many ways because I do Girl Talk DC, which is just like Stiletto Talks in some way, shape, or form. We are venting, we are talking business, we're talking money, we're talking relationships, and everybody needs those spaces. So I think it's a reason we all do what we do in both our personal lives and here at Walker's Legacy. Well,
Awesome.
thank you for that. So, hey, let's talk about maintaining your brand presence. I enjoyed talking to you yesterday and just,
Yes.
knowing what's going on in around the world with this pandemic. Um, and when we say brand presence, talk to the people about what you mean when you say maintaining your brand presence, because sometimes I think the way people define their brand is very different from another person's definition of their brand.
Right. So for brand presence, you don't necessarily have to have a business to have a brand
Hmm.
presence. If you're job seeking right now, maybe looking to transition, this may be your way out of somewhere that you don't necessarily care for. Your brand presence right now, how you are perceived, because it's how
Hmm.
you're perceived outwardly,
Hmm.
and whether it's your business or yourself personally. And in business cases, a lot of times both, especially if you're personally attached to your community. Your brand presence is everything. So it is you in totality, what you exude out to others. And that perception is ultimately which can grow your value, grow your demand. It also can spell your demise. So
Hmm. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
your brand presence and how you carry yourself and the message, because keep in mind your brand also carries a message. So it's the message that you're
Yeah.
constantly bringing across to either personally or within your brand in your business.
Yes. And I like that. And I think people sometimes forget because they put so much emphasis on their business brand, but they forget that people are also looking at the person. I like to tell people that people who are authentic and real, they win in that realm of things when it comes to your brand because people are watching. Yes, your business could be thriving, but how do you treat other people within your business? So the
Right,
person really matters. You know what I mean? So the person
right.
really, really matters. And so talking about brand presence and I mean social media being visible, it's saturated right now. There's many people going live at a time, and many people are saying I had to move to a virtual space, and that's just not my thing. I don't shine as well in the virtual world. I may do better in person than I do online. So my presence in person is one thing, and then my presence online is a little bit lackluster. What advice would you give them?
So, of course, I was born when television still went off, so I can relate for those who may have, I am a true 70s baby. And what I will say is you got to get out there and practice. The world evolves, and just like in your job, one of the questions HR would normally ask is how do you handle challenges? How do you handle obstacles?
Mhm.
Being virtual is certainly an obstacle, right? We've been here now for quite some time now, 7.5, maybe going even into as much as close to 8 months. We're going to
Yeah.
be, we're trucking along pretty good, right? And this is going to go on at least through the end of the year, as it looks like what's being forecasted. So in order to be able to maintain, my thing is to start practicing, even recording yourself, getting
Mhm.
feedback. And when you record yourself, maybe going virtual on your Zoom meetings at work and stuff, just go back and look. You know how you look when you go back and look at it. When you turn that back around and see maybe some of the nonverbal cues that you're doing,
Yeah.
certainly need to be mindful of nonverbals, bucking your eyes, making these little because they're forgetting that people are looking at you. And
Yeah.
and then stop being nervous. It's just still a
Yeah.
conversation. It's just another way. Think of it as FaceTime, like you FaceTime with your family and your friends.
Mm-hmm.
You're being your natural self. You need to also do the same thing when you're in virtual meet and greet spaces, job
Yeah.
spaces. But certainly start practicing, and I think practice makes perfect. Just like you used to sing in the mirror before you went out, or went somewhere, got yourself together, singing and putting on this personality. You
Yeah.
still
Yeah.
have
Yeah.
to definitely start practicing to get yourself more comfortable that this is what people see when they see you virtually. And I think that
Yeah.
if you can kind of remove the veil of that a little bit mentally,
Mm-hmm.
it will help you a lot when you have to put your brand presence, put yourself out there digitally.
It's funny that you mentioned a couple things. You talked about, practicing or recording. I'll tell you, I have a hard time with the Zooms and the lives. I never know where to look. Like I'm looking at you right now. Sometimes I'm looking down. Sometimes I'm looking up. I'm looking at the camera, and I'm always like, that doesn't look right to me. And so we always wonder how it conveys to other people. Um, and then another thing that you mentioned is nonverbal cues. Talk a little bit more about nonverbal cues. What are two like standout nonverbal cues that could deter a future client, anyone in this virtual space to say, I'm not quite sure about that person?
Um, Definitely facial expressions. For example, my daughter's hearing impaired, so facial expressions, the way you put nonverbals are everything. So it's what you're not saying with your mouth.
Mm-hmm.
If Rashonda was making a statement and I didn't care for it and I did that's a nonverbal. It would look like I'm not receiving the information. Something new that I've seen too is that when certain points come across, people put their profile picture up. So that's a nonverbal. It's like they need to put the picture up so that they can do whatever they're going to do and then bring it back. But if you keep doing it habitually, most people are starting to
Mm-hmm.
learn that language that you are rejecting the information that's being done. Also, making expressions with your mouth. You may not be saying anything, but if you're, you know, and it means what it means, right? So
Right,
um,
right, right.
those things are certainly just kind of some giveaways that is, like I said, eye contact definitely lives two things that I look for. Watching your face, I can
Mm-hmm.
see like if you're receiving the information, if you are, and even your participation, because you may be saying something, but then if I'm looking at your face and your audio is not matching your video, that's probably, and they're not like connecting, that's a sign to me
Yeah.
that you're not really in the conversation that we're having.
Yeah, and I get that. And I would also probably echo and add timing, the timing. You mentioned, putting up your profile picture when a subject comes up. The timing of when you walk away can also strike the speaker or the person who's running the meeting as disrespect, or you're not interested in the conversation.
Definitely.
So I definitely get that. What can the businesses do to maintain their brand presence during this time? What can they do? What can they do when it's new to them? They have visibility, but maybe they're not posting as frequently, doing as many lives. What advice would you give businesses to maintaining a good brand presence during this pandemic?
So one good thing, again, I was out before social media ever was even a thing. So we
Mhm.
had to still connect. Emails were really big back in the day, and also your website. You can give them certain things on social media, but then you want to
Mhm.
always drive them back to your websites too, where they can find
Yeah.
all the goodies, everything that you have, because you control that narrative. You do not control necessarily a narrative that's on social media. Somebody can misinterpret a message and take your message and just spin it all around on social media and go viral with it. So you have to really be careful of what you're putting on social media. I also suggest doing a business page away from your personal page. Some people like to
Mm.
incorporate their personal and their business together. Sometimes it works, but sometimes it doesn't, especially if you're someone that puts up a lot of those opinion memes and then you want to turn around
Yeah.
and promote your business. I love such and such, but don't try me, and all this kind of stuff. But then
Yeah,
you turn
yeah.
back around and you say, yeah, hey, try my product. So the message is kind of double-minded, and people start to maybe disconnect from your personality. And if they're disconnecting from your personality, they're going to disconnect from your business too, right? Because
That's
that's a part of
good.
you.
Yeah.
Again, brand presence is together. So I definitely
Yeah.
suggest you creating a business page. And then also you want to create a posting schedule. If you know that you're a person that's just now kind of getting into posting online, somebody sees it. And in order for you to even build an algorithm or some type of engagement, first of all, you want to learn about algorithms, because just because you post doesn't mean that it's actually popping up to people. But then you also want to make sure that you create a schedule. Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday. You need to come up with a schedule. And then they have sites apps that will allow you to actually put all the posts you want to put for the week and schedule them out. So if you know that you're a person, hey, I just don't do social media, you need to get you some help or intern or somebody else, one of your kids or something that likes to post, and get them to control maybe your business page and they can post it for you. But you certainly want to create some type of schedule. Trust me, somebody sees it. But the more you post, the more opportunities you have to be seen. But definitely, if you kind of have a really heavy political page, for example, you may want to separate the two, just so that you make sure that your business is the focus, especially if you're looking to generate revenue. And even monitoring some of the tags, you may just invite, the business page allows you to invite others to your page instead of constantly tagging, because some people go back and untag it. And then some people have it to where, like, for example, on Facebook, they can choose to accept or decline it actually showing up on their page. So just because you tag them doesn't mean anything, so those are just some things that I would certainly say. But you got to get in the game. All of this is new. And what I can tell you, it's a level playing field right now. Everything's new.
Yeah, everybody's on the same page.
Nobody's an
Economic
expert.
statics, gender, nobody's better than the next. Everybody's an expert. This is a self-care coach, this is a health and wellness coach, this is a brand expert, this is a strategist. Everybody is on the same playing field. So what sets you apart? What will set you apart? In this business, what do you think will set the next person apart? Because we all can do it. I always tell people, when you think about multiple people doing what you've dreamed of doing, just walk, that meme that says just walk down the bread aisle. They didn't stop making bread because Wonder Bread made a bread. Other bread companies never stopped making bread. So when you think about it that way and you continuously pushing your business, but what would set a brand or a person and their business apart during a season where we're all on the same plane?
Well, one thing would be your visuals. So you want to make sure if you have brand colors, you have a special of the month, you have something that's going on. First of all, you want to know your competition. You want to know what's out there, right? And be able to study first. You have to be a student first, then you can be a teacher. So in order to study first, see what's missing. When you see what's missing, then maybe that will allow you to develop something that's a little bit different that can be out there. Because you want to kind of set yourself apart. If you're doing exactly what someone else is doing, nobody may gravitate towards it. You also want to learn how to create keywords, hashtags that are created just for your business, so that when people pull up those hashtags, you pop up. So those are some things that you want to do. Your digital materials got to be on point. So I'm not talking.
I was going to talk about that. Yeah.
You can't just get on there and you like this. Buy my product. They're going to be like, okay, girl. And so sometimes you stop the value when you do that.
Yeah.
So my suggestion is definitely monitor those your digital materials, what you're putting out there. If you got brand colors, be consistent in those colors. For me, when they see second to none hair care systems, they know that red, black, and white, that's me. So it's probably me. My salon's that color, everything's that color. They know they see that, that's me. So those are some things. Those are some things that you certainly want to do. And I chose those colors because I felt like they just really stood out. They catch the eye. You have to think about all of your visuals. Are you going to be the front person for your business? Even for yourself on your platforms, just for professional, you still need some fresh headshots. You need some fresh things out there. Digital right now is everything, what you put out there, because just like you engage and gravitate towards visuals, I know there was a big video that came out this past Friday, and while it may have a lot of people are having opinion, what it has is a lot of visuals. You can't help but gravitate towards these visuals, are just like, you have to look at it. And so again, visuals are everything. If it's visually appealing, they're definitely going to at least check the message out. And now once you have the attention to visuals, you got to have a clear and concise message that has a call to action to it. What are they there for? Are they just there to be like, hey, or are they there to actually engage? Are they there to engage? Is it an invitation for them to be invited into your brand and become a part of your brand? Right now, it's about connection. And so if you can find a way to connect digitally, you're winning right now. You're definitely winning.
That's good. That's good. That's good for me too, because I was funny when I posted that we were doing this morning. I talked about how outside of the digital space, my brand is pretty lit. You know what I mean? I'm like, my brand is good outside of the digital space. I'm just now becoming less of the hitch of the business and more in the forefront and letting people see me and see the things. So this is really helping me. You said something about connections. Relationship building virtually. Many people have a hard time with that, with the idea of building relationships virtually. What advice would you give them? So I'm connecting with my audience. I'm doing better. My brand is there. You'll say my brand is, it looks good, but I'm still not talking to the people or connecting with the people that I would love to connect with in this virtual space. What advice would you give them to connecting?
I would say find some groups that are interested in connecting. There are so many groups now that have popped up with certain, of course, the movement created another culture, and that culture is a heavy entrepreneur culture, a heavy support culture. People are looking for businesses to and looking for brands to connect with. And what you see is a lot of groups starting to pop up. Either by social media, people are building these websites with these different brands. But the way for you to know it, again, is to kind of get in the game, do your research, and see if you have some groups online that identify with who you are, and that you feel like, hey, these are the type of clients or the type of business people I want connected to my business. And that's what I did. I started researching. I found some groups, because these groups allow you to pitch your business too. And so when you put yourself out there and you put your business, somebody's going to email you, somebody's going to respond to you. And it has allowed my calendar to actually stay quite full, even with all that's going on, because you have to make friends the way you know how to make what the space is. When in this space, do what the space is doing. The space is creating its own subculture of groups. So the groups are very public. So if you're like on Facebook, for example, you can go in and put, business groups, or entrepreneur groups, all kinds of groups are going to pop up. And then, just kind of research some of the ones that you feel like identify with people that you may want to engage in, that you feel like you're comfortable. So a lot of them are public, so you can kind of maybe peep in the space and even see like, hey, these are some people that I think I want to connect with, and just put some stuff out there. And once you're in there, they're going to allow you to introduce yourself. Usually those groups have welcomes. And so when they tag your name and put welcome, you want to go back on, thank you so much, for having me a part of this group. I look forward to connecting with you. At that point, you're saying, hey, I'm here for connections. And people are going to respond to that, because keep in mind right now, the space is level. Everybody's kind of looking for the same thing. So people are in the mindset, hey, I need to connect with others in order to continue to grow. So the same thing for you. So you would just definitely start looking for groups and networking events that are online virtually. I've been on many things. Sometimes it's a massively promoted event, but you may get on there and there are only 10 or 12 people. It's like all of a sudden you form this sisterhood with these 10 or 12 people. Girl, I got how can I support you? Okay, how can I support you? And then from there, you get on my podcast. I'm gonna get on your podcast, and you just start this whole little web. And like, you're cool. I think you need to meet so and so. So I've been able to do everything from my office. It's out there. People are looking for connections, especially whether they're extrovert, introvert, ambivert, whatever you
Mm-hmm.
consider yourself. People are out here just looking for connections. But
Yeah.
definitely research those groups. There's certainly another culture forming of support, and so those support groups are there for you to meet other people and grow your brand.
And I think people need to hear that. I think there are a lot of people that need to hear that, because some people are afraid to partner or look out, look for connecting groups like that, and they don't know where to look. So I think you just gave them some ways. Say Facebook. I know LinkedIn has groups. I'm part of lots of groups via LinkedIn if you're in the professional networks. And then all of the groups that you were a part of in person have virtual spaces created now. So you
Right.
think about the chambers, you think about the Black Chamber of Commerce, you think about Live at Work or WeWork. They have Google. Everybody has digital spaces right now. If you were attending their events then, you can attend their events now. And like you said, it'll be, most of the time it ends up being a very intimate space because thousands will sign up, but not everybody attends.
Right.
I want to go back a couple of things you said about creating content. I want to go back there for a second. Some people struggle with creating their own content. Do you advise them to pay to get content created?
So if you don't know how to create content, I certainly would suggest you maybe getting some focus groups together. People that can help you tell the truth. You probably have people right around you. Don't get everybody, but get a few that really like identify and kind of laser focus on things and can give you an opinion of objectivity. And you certainly want to find out from them, like, hey, what are you thinking about this? What are you thinking about that? What do you think about this? And then you have to be able to pitch it. You got to pitch it so they can see the full picture, so that way they can give you an honest opinion. If you only give them a snippet of it, they're only going to give you a snippet based on the perception of the piece that you gave them. Because keep in mind, it's about visuals, right? So if you only paint half a picture, they're only going to give you half an opinion based on what they saw, what you painted for them. But if they see the picture totally and what you're trying to do, they may just offer a simple suggestion. That might be a piece of puzzle that you've been trying to figure out all this time, and they just pop up, oh yeah, you need this. And you're like, that's all, that's all I need. For people to engage. But it also gives you a chance to see how people react to the concepts that you're putting out too. And that'll allow you a direction to go in as far as your content. So I definitely.
And to get fillers. Yeah, I think that's a great way to put a great recommendation. Great recommendation. And there's, and so we do the creative content, getting other people to, rally in. What about, let's talk a little bit about sales and support. So, when you talk about brand, I've branded myself. I have this stellar page and I'm still not getting the hits or generating the revenue. The first layer I want you to talk a little bit about is not everybody who follows you are customers.
Oh, yes, I'm here for this one. Okay,
let's talk about that.
So you may have 100 cousins. You may have a really big family, but they may not, because they know you so personally, they may not take you serious with your business. They may not be your customer. That's just people Now, they may still tell somebody about you, but that doesn't mean they're going to engage. That's why it's important for you to have the content to create, to put out. It's got to go out. If you only keep it in for your immediate circle, and out of 100 people, you only pulling 3, that means you need to put it out to some more people so that you can pull a larger number. But if you just keep it in and keep promoting to their regular circle, you're going to have to find a way to branch out. And again, that's also why I said, when you do social media or whatever, some people go on these fasts, so they're not even on social media. You're like, oh, I put this person, I'm going to do whatever with my site, and I put it on social media, but you're not driving them to the site. There's no call to action. There's no engagement. You're kind of half keeping up of the site, or even in some cases, social media is your only source. I certainly challenge you. There are a lot of very easy build sites. Create your own website, create your own space, because you can create a welcoming atmosphere. Even if they're fasting from social media, a lot of people go on these fasts like, I'm tired of this. There's so much information now going on there. A lot of people just disconnect, like, it was just too much. You know, so you want them to be able to go to your site directly and say, okay, let me go off of here. Let me find my place. Like, I'm a candle girl. So when I've had too much of that, I'm instantly going on some candle sites. I got some sisters that have some bad candles. I'm going over here and getting this happy space of candle shopping.
Yeah.
You know, and so and I spend like, where I spend 30 minutes over here, now I'm spending an hour. So just researching the candles, what they got going on, what's
I love candles too.
you know, their social media posts and stuff. Like, I may go maybe on another type of social media engagement, but I'm looking at the site, you know, and so those are some things you certainly want to, again, drive them away to a source where you create the atmosphere. You control everything. And I think that social media is certainly an invitation, but it's an invite. Once you get them into your house, into your space, now it's time for you to make them feel welcome into your world. You want them to be a part of your world, just like they want us to be a part of, so to be a part of that world. You want to pull, like, come over here and get over here in this world. But you have to be consistent. So you can't decide, I'm going to post hard for 30 days and now I'm not posting.
And don't give them anything.
Nobody. I don't want to do it. And so you got to take your personal feelings out of business. If you're taking your personal feelings out, if you keep your personal feelings in, you're going to be hurt all the time. You know, you're going to feel some type of way a lot. And sometimes your energy is everything, because then you start posting these posts of frustration. So you get on your personal
about how nobody's following you.
Nobody's supporting your product. Nobody's supporting you, and the right people don't support me. You know, when you do that kind of stuff, people can feel like, girl, look at so girl, she's mad again. You know, that they do that. And so instead, they're telling everybody to come look at your page of frustration, instead of, you know what, every time I see her, she's posting great things about her business. And especially if they're like, hey, I know somebody with something, you know what, I saw a page, let me go back and see. Girl, go to so-and-so website, because they may be, hey, I can't get on social media. Hey, get on here and look at their website. I just saw it. You know, so if you're constantly posting, you know, you ain't never got to support me, you know, and all this other kind of stuff, that is, so you're bashing the client, a potential client. You're being actually rude to somebody that may not be able to do business with you right now, because you don't know why they're not engaging with your business immediately. Maybe some people actually research consistency, how long you've been out, what your space is like, the vibe. So digital, you still give off vibes. And some people shop for vibes, so they engage for vibes, so they don't feel like you're something that aligns with them right now. People have more of a brand awareness. They're very aware of who supports, who's consistent, and who is not in this space, because they're not so occupied, so they see you. They really see you. So
and people have time now. Everybody's looking.
And
everybody is
slide some stuff off my page, like, oh, see, you got too much going on. You mad at everything. You're not gonna talk about me and want my money. So that's where people are, because I'm a consumer as well. I don't just have a business, I'm a consumer also. So you have to be really mindful, again, what you're putting out there, setting that schedule and sticking to it. It may take 90 days. You know, but if this is something that you thought of for a lifetime, and you know this is something you want to do, you're gonna have to stretch your limits. You got to put it all on the line. You got to put it all on the line, because if you don't put it on the line, you can't expect someone else. So you got to put it all
on the line. I love it. You guys to put it on the line. And you know, it's funny, you talked about moving from the social space and inviting them. That's the invitation, but inviting them into your home, inviting them into your website and your page. I see a lot of people putting so much emphasis on social media, but what they forget is we don't own this platform. We don't own Facebook. We don't own Instagram. Because we don't own those things. I don't know if you were on the networks when a couple years ago when it went down. And people lost content and they couldn't access their content. You couldn't log on and it wouldn't refresh. And it still happens periodically to this day that people, sometimes you can't refresh. You don't see an update. You have to log out, log back in, log out, log back in. Once it's on these platforms, you're having a shared partnership in what you post. because it's no longer just yours. It has
Right.
become somebody else's on their platform. So why not create that website? I would much rather have a platform that I could drive you to. And like you said, give you the invitation here, but make sure you come see me, because this is where you're going to get the rest of the hospitality and the rest of the things that I have to offer. I think that's so good and profound, because many people have forgotten, because social media is so trendy, and people are making money and they seeing the wins, but they're not seeing behind the scenes that if this was to fall today, what would that do to your business?
Right. And it's also a place that's heavily saturated. Most people, when they go on social media, they know who they're looking for too. So you can't necessarily just do that. And again, it's about your visuals. So if I just see you, with your kids, getting them off, doing homeschooling right now, for example, and I see you maybe outside in the pool or something like that, what does that have to do for your business? But you may be an author. So what does that have to do with an author?
Where's your book? Where's your insert?
Hashtag. I'd rather see you in your office with papers laid out all over the place. Like, I'm trying to create a story. I'm trying to put something together, and walking them through that process, because they may be there with you. Like, girl, I'm right there with you. And they'll start engaging with you. So it's really important that you do that. You want to take them through your process, your wins and your failures. I think that allows them to be a part of it. And even with my products, with Second to None Hair Care, when I started, I let people know all the time, this came from the clients. They wanted to, they were looking for certain products. They were looking for things that were sulfate-free, paraben-free, and they challenged me. They're like, well, Paula, you know so much about hair. Why don't you create your own product? And so those are still my base customers today, and they know that, hey, we helped her create this. We put out the suggestions. They were my focus group. So the focus group shares all the time, and so the lion's share of my products are still shipped to where the focus group was. And they're still in connection with me today. So my thing is, they were part of the process. They saw the frustrations, the wins, the failures. This doesn't lather. This is a bust. They saw everything, and so they were a part of that process. And I take my clients on that personal journey with me. We're in this together. And that's what you want. Right now, you have to connect with people. I know we got a lot of emails in solidarity. You want to always be in solidarity, in connection with your clients, with your potential customers. Knowing that you understand what their life may look like, and that they connect with you, that's how you build loyalty too. Not just for them to engage you that one time, like, oh, we're supposed to find somebody to support and click on you, but to keep that support and be able to deliver.
Yeah. And I think the key thing that you said there was being relatable. Overall, it's being relatable. Can they find or see a piece of what they're experiencing or going through in you and your story and what you're doing? That's how people ultimately, connect. Well, this is good. This is good. And you talked about the hair care. I know we're here for managing brands, but the people want to know what should we do during this quarantine with the hair, the protective styles. People are trying to get in. I don't know what they're doing in Arizona, but I know that hair salons are still at a little bit lower capacity here. And so everybody still can't get in. We're still struggling. Give them some tips to keeping it going, keeping that scalp and everything nurtured.
For my professionals, of course, I've done this now this is my 29th year almost. So I'm almost at 30 in December. Awesome. And so what I will say is, for me personally, I was so glad that I created a product, because it still allows me to engage. It's my product. So they know what I'm selling is based on what I would do in the salon. And my clients are still having success, even when they're doing their hair at home. While they may not necessarily have the styles that they want, but of course I've tried to train them on that as well. That connection, again, will never go away. That's a connection that I will continue to have with them. So they will never forget. The same thing happened with Hurricane Katrina. With the floods of 2016. They're like, look, she done helped us through all of this, so we can do it. So the product is a thing.
Like, you probably have a kit.
Right. So if you weren't selling kits, you still want them to engage with your salon. So on the professional side, make sure you got something to sell your customers. You still want to keep them engaged. They're looking for you to support them through this, and they'll never forget for supporting them through this unprecedented time. Katrina at the time was unprecedented. They will never forget you. never forget you. Still have people thanking me for certain things to this day, so they will never forget you. Okay. And then the second thing is for for non-professionals, definitely start researching products. You know your hair type. You've learned some things, find out from your stylist what your hair type is, and just start doing research on brands that you think will work for you. Now, yes, you may end up with a bathroom full of products, but you certainly want to research and find out what's working for your hair. If you know that you're not good with heat, I certainly suggest protective styles. It's on average of 120 here right now in Arizona. Sometimes 150, so that's the reason for this, right?
And I love them.
Right. But I also have a lot of clients that they don't like extensions. They don't like braids.
Yeah.
So they're still coming to get their hair done on a limited basis. But I definitely suggest redoing your research and finding out what those products contain, and then actually utilizing them at home for your family. Find something that works for all of you.
Awesome. You know, I couldn't get us out of here without asking about some hair. You know, listen, we got the expert here. I want brand, I want hair, I want it all. And so I'm excited about that. As we begin, before we wrap it up, is there any questions online chat? Are there any questions in the chat? I'm not sure if I see many out there. So I guess we will wrap it up with a call to action. There's several things. I mean, Paula dropped lots of gems today. And so I'm grateful that you were here with us and that we were able to sit down during this time. If there were 3 things that you could leave or highlight and leave people with and encourage them to do the minute we get off of here to update and upgrade their brand, what those top 3 things would be. I'll tell you one that I gathered would be creating that good content.
Create that content, write it down and make it plain. You know what that is, you know where that come from, you know what that stems from. You got to write it, because if you can't see it, nobody else can see it. And often sometimes the things in your mind, if you don't write it down at that moment, it fleets you, it leaves you. And that might be the idea that you really need in future. So as it comes to mind, write it down, put it in your digital devices, iPads and so forth, but write it down, make it plain. The second thing, besides creating, is being consistent. You're going to have to be consistent during this time, whether it's consistent attending events, consistent posting. You're going to have to be consistent to keep yourself out there, because right now the digital space is flooded with everybody. It's almost like walking through a flooded airport. Like everybody's flooded, like everybody's moving. And so in order for someone to see you, you got to do something that's going to cause them to see you, but you want to be authentic in what they're seeing, because if you can't keep it up, don't do it. And then the last thing, be willing to connect. So of course, we talked about the creative side and everything. Now we want to connect. You have to be able to connect with other people. If you cannot connect, even if you're a shy person right now, it's a great time for you to connect digitally, because you could just set up times and maybe a 5-minute Zoom with someone or a 10-minute Zoom, and maybe meet with them offline, or even go into chats on Zooms and like, hey, I like what you said, you know, or this is where you can find me, this is where I can find you. But connection, be willing to connect. You got to open yourself up to a few different things. This is certainly uncharted territory for everyone, even for those who do meetings all over the country via Zoom. Certainly having to do it for everything is different for everyone. So please believe that nobody's an expert, you know, nobody. And I think even those that are experts with certain spaces, digital spaces, are still learning how to use these digital spaces on a large platform. So we're all in a learning phase. So allow yourself some grace to learn and be open to things that are new.
Yes, I love it. I love it. That's my thing. Offer yourself some grace. I love that. And I love what you said about the connections and just being present. So where can they connect with you, Paula? Where can we find you? Where can we continue to get these gems? Where can they find you in the social space?
Great. Yeah. So if you're looking to connect with us with Stiletto Talks, have a website for that. It's www.thestilettotalks.com. If you're looking to keep up with me personally, I have a personal website, kind of talks about Stiletto Talks, master classes, all of that. You can find me at www.paulajhutchinson.com.
Perfect. Perfect. Well, thank you, Paula. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you, everyone who tuned in, who joined in. I didn't see many questions out there. I may have one. Wait, they have just come.
Oh, thanks.
Oh, awesome. This has been the most transparent conversation about business that I've experienced. Thank you both. Oh, you're awesome. Thank you. Thanks for
Thank
attending.
you so
Thank
much
you,
for
Miss
that.
Paula. Listen, this has been wonderful. I have taken notes. I'm going to use and go input some of these brand presence ideas when I leave here today. Thank you again. Walker's Legacy, we have some amazing events coming up for Black women's equal pay. Actually starting tonight for some cities and tomorrow I know for DC. Are you tonight, Paula? So Paula
Yes,
is hosting
yes.
one tonight for the Phoenix area and it's virtual. So I tell everyone all the time, when we push these events, digital programming for Walker's Legacy, support all the cities, join in. We all can join in at this time. So this is a great opportunity to connect. It's a great connecting point. Washington, D.C.'s Black Women's Equal Pay event is tomorrow as well. You can find all that information at www.walkerslegacy.com. This Friday, our Ask a Boss series. It's going to be good. This one is with Gia Sims. She's the former CEO of the Burn Group and the cannabis advocate. So you know that industry is popping right now. So I think you guys would totally enjoy that. And then continue to join us every Wednesday for Cowork and Connect, our virtual morning chat series. We appreciate you and we thank you for this. So I think we're signing off now. You all have a great day. Thank you, Paula.
Bye, everyone. Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.